They inherited my late husband's fortune. But I found a hidden photo in this old painting the moment Mary stepped into the dimly lit attic. A shiver ran down her spine. Dust motes danced around her like lost souls, whispering secrets of the past as they drifted through the air. She'd known this day would come, the day the last remnants of her late husband's life would be unpacked and scrutinized. But nothing could prepare her for the strange sensation of gazing upon the weathered wooden crate, tucked in the corner, like a forgotten relic of another time. A flicker of unease gnawed at her stomach. What if the memories buried beneath the surface weren't just echoes of nostalgia, but something darker? With trembling hands, she pried the crate open, its hinges creaking like a ghost awakening from slumber. Inside lay an assortment of items: a yellowed love letter, old coins, and there, beneath layers of old fabric, an ornate painting. The canvas was wrapped in frayed burlap. As she pulled it free, her heart raced. An intricately detailed portrait of a woman with eyes so deep, they seemed to hold a universe of pain and mystery. Who was she, and why had her husband kept this painting hidden? Just as Mary flipped the painting, the corner caught the light, revealing a photo wedged in the back. It was worn, edges frayed. Her breath hitched. The faces in the picture were familiar yet twisted by the passage of time. Her husband as a young man, laughing with that woman, arms entwined as if they shared a secret only the two of them knew. Panic gripped her. What was her husband doing with this woman? A tumult of questions churned in her mind, twisting her insides like a vice. Before she could process the jarring emotions crashing over her, she was startled by her phone vibrating violently on the dusty floorboards. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Distracted, she swiped away the notification, but her heart was still racing as she looked back at the photo. The weight of her husband's secret now felt unbearably heavy. What was hidden in the shadows of their life together? The woman in the painting felt alive somehow, drawing her in, beckoning with an unspoken promise. As the wind howled outside, Mary couldn't shake the feeling that this discovery was just the beginning. What truths lay buried in the corners of their shared past, waiting to be unearthed? With her heart pounding, she knew she couldn't turn back now. The mysteries ahead loomed large, shrouded in shadow. The attic remained silent, save for the rhythmic beating of Mary's heart. She glanced nervously back at the door, as if the shadows themselves were conspiring to keep her from uncovering the truth. It was time to confront the specters of her husband's past. With the painting still cradled in her hands, she turned it once more to study the woman's face. Each brushstroke seemed to throb with life, almost accusing her of ignorance. Who was she? The intimate bond captured in the photograph gnawed at Mary's sanity. A bitter taste pooled in her throat. Suddenly, the dusty mustiness of the attic closed in around her, heavy and oppressive. She needed air. Stumbling forward, she all but dropped the painting onto an old trunk. The surface was marked by time, a history sealed away, just like the secrets of her husband. Mary hesitated. The picture was consuming her thoughts. What if there were more hidden truths in this room? Rummaging through the crate, her fingers brushed against something cold. She pulled out a small, brittle notebook. It was bound with worn leather, the pages fragile, almost begging to be read. The urge to explore further overcame her hesitation. Carefully she opened it. The ink was faded but still legible. Each entry unveiled the life her husband had lived before their marriage. The early entries spoke of dreams and ambitions, of hope and new beginnings. But as Mary read on, shadows crept into his writing. His words twisted from optimism to vulnerability, hints of paranoia. The last entry made her blood run cold. I see her everywhere. Watching, waiting. I can't escape. What did he mean? Her thoughts raced. Had her husband been tormented by guilt or fear? Suddenly, a distinct creak echoed from down the hall. Mary froze, heart pounding in her ears. A chill crawled down her spine. Had someone else entered the house? Had someone come to investigate her husband's secrets? Just as she contemplated retreating, a gust of wind pushed open the attic window, howling through the space like a vengeful spirit. It scattered dust and papers, and in a panic she rushed to close it, her mind racing. But a sudden glint on the floor caught her eye. A fragment of a broken mirror glimmered menacingly amidst the chaos, reflecting scraps of the old furniture and shadows of the room. The shards seemed to call out to her, and she reached for them, drawn as if by fate. As she picked up a shard, a movement from the corner of her eye made her whirl around. The door was slightly ajar, and from the depths of the shadowed hallway, a figure loomed, half in darkness. Mary's throat went dry. The air thickened. "Mary, you shouldn't be in here." He stood there, her late husband's brother, Sean. His expression was unreadable, a mixture of fear and defiance flooding his eyes. "You need to leave now." "What do you know?" she demanded, her voice quivering but firm. "What are you hiding?" But before Sean could respond, he stumbled back, panic etched into his face. Something shifted behind him in the hallway, a darker shadow creeping forward. And it wasn't just the dim light playing tricks. Mary's heart raced as reality darkened around her. What did this mean? What were the secrets wrapped in this haunting moment? She stood frozen, the shard of broken glass pressing painfully against her palm, unaware that what she had stumbled upon was only the surface of a far more sinister truth. And as the doorway loomed threateningly, she knew she was about to step into a storm of revelations, one that might swallow her whole. Was she ready to uncover the depths of her husband's past? The question hung in the air like a dark omen. The shadows in the hallway grew darker, stretching like long fingers toward Mary. The air pulsed with an eerie tension, thick and oppressive. She watched Sean's face drain of color as the figure behind him inched closer, obscured by shadows but radiating an undeniable malevolence. "Sean! What is that?" Mary shrieked, her heart pounding as dread gripped her. He turned, wide-eyed and panicked. "You should never come here. I tried to keep you away." A whisper slithered through the darkness, a voice she couldn't make out but felt in her bones. It was taunting. Was it a warning? Or a promise of danger? Just as the figure stepped into a sliver of light from the attic window, Mary's breath caught sharp in her throat. It was a woman dressed in tattered white, hair wild and unkempt, eyes like hollow voids. The sight sent a visceral chill down her spine. "What do you want?" Mary managed, her voice barely above a whisper. The woman didn't answer. Instead, she stretched out her hand toward Mary, pointing a long skeletal finger that seemed to beckon. With each inch, the room felt colder, suffocating her resolve. "Mary, you need to go," Sean urged, stumbling backward as he felt the weight of the air grow impossibly heavy. Mary's instincts screamed at her to flee, but her feet were glued to the floor. The painted woman. The one in the image. Was this the real person? Her heart raced as she recalled the notebook's last chilling words. Had her husband conjured this specter in his madness? The ghostly figure moved closer, and the air around Mary shimmered, turning electric with fear. All at once she felt everything slipping away, like sand falling through an hourglass. The painted woman's expression twisted with raw anguish, mirroring Mary's own turmoil within. Was it anger? Was it sorrow? Or was it both, an echo of something cruel? "Sean!" Mary screamed again, breaking the paralysis that held her. "What is she trying to tell me?" Before Sean could respond, the attic light flickered violently, casting frantic shadows across the walls. The whispered warnings grew louder, morphing into incoherent cries. Something was terribly wrong. There was more at stake than just her husband's past. It felt like her very soul was at risk. Suddenly, with a deafening crash, the window slammed shut, cutting off the gust of wind, and plunging the attic into an oppressive silence. The ghostly figure paused, her eyes locking onto Mary's, as if penetrating her very thoughts. Then in an instant, the woman lunged out of the shadows. Sean cried out, and Mary instinctively raised the shard of glass in defense. The tension snapped like a taut wire, ready to unravel. Just as the specter was upon her, Mary's vision blurred, and a flood of memories erupted. Her husband, this painting, the woman's face. In that fragile moment, everything felt intertwined, spiraling, and then she understood. The unfinished story might lie with her. "Tell me," Mary gasped, her breath coming in frantic, panicked bursts. "Who are you?" But before the spirit could answer, a blinding flash enveloped the room, and Mary found herself teetering on the brink of a reality she never wanted to see. The shadow within Sean quivered, revealing a truth neither of them was prepared to confront as the very foundation of their lives began to shift beneath them. One thing became painfully clear. Secrets had a way of clawing back, and the truth was something that could change everything. What lay on the other side of the darkness beckoned her to delve deeper still, pushing her closer to the brink of revelation. But would she emerge whole? Her heart thundered, caught between hope and fear as she stood at the threshold of a shocking truth that promised to unravel everything she knew. Mary's breath hitched as the blinding light faded, its brilliance replaced by shadows swirling around her like a dark haze. She felt disoriented, time bending and twisting as reality wavered. It was as if she were caught in a dream, teetering at the whim of an unseen force. The ghostly woman hovered before her, emotions etched deep in her hollow eyes, a mix of anger and pleading. "Sean!" Mary called again, desperation bleeding into her voice. But the only response was a small whimper from him, lost in a corner of the room. She could feel his panic, and it wrapped around her like barbed wire. The spectral figure spoke. At first it was a mere murmur, an indistinct sound woven in with the rustling shadows. "You must listen." The voice cracked through the air, stretching into a haunting echo. It wasn't just a whisper. It felt like it was clawing at her consciousness, demanding attention. "What do you want from me?" The question slipped from her lips, laced with uncertainty. The truth clawed at her insides, a thousand possibilities swirling dangerously close. The woman pointed again, her skeletal finger directed at the painting on the wall, its vibrant colors now dull in the ghostly light. The canvas seemed to pulse with energy, every stroke hinting at stories lurking beneath the surface. She felt an overwhelming urge to understand, to unearth whatever secret the painting housed. "Sean, help me." Mary turned, panic driving her to grab his arm, shaking him free of his fear-induced paralysis. His grip on reality was faltering, eyes darting to the corners as if expecting other shadows to spring to life. "Mary, we need to go," he hissed, his voice a tremor. "This isn't safe." Despite the urgency in his tone, Mary couldn't tear her gaze from the painting. It thrummed with a life of its own, a siren song calling her closer. "I can't leave yet, Sean. There's something here, something that ties you to us." Sean's face contorted, a mix of rage and fear. "I told you it's not worth it. Just let it go." But Mary couldn't. A fierce determination ignited within her, fueled by an understanding that the answers lay beyond what they both feared. Suddenly, the attic creaked, an unsettling sound echoing through the silence. It felt as if the house itself was awakening, groaning under the weight of its own hidden truths. The painting flickered, a flash of images racing across its surface, snippets of a past she hadn't lived but felt deeply in her bones. Mary's breath quickened. "I see her, Sean. I see the woman, the one from the painting. She's warning us." But in that instant the shadows shifted violently, swirling and twisting before lashing out, wrapping around Sean. His eyes widened, filled with terror as he fought to break free, grasping at the darkness like it was a living thing. "Mary, help me." His voice cracked, reverberating within her. It soaked into her insides, mixing with her mounting dread. She stepped forward, heart pounding, instincts shouting at her to save him. But the painted woman surged forward instead, her face contorting in agony. "Stop. The truth, you must see the truth." "Sean, I can't," Mary screamed, rooted in place, torn between the man she loved and the ghost beckoning her toward revelations long buried. With a fierce determination, she locked eyes with the spirit. Show me the truth." In an exhalation the atmosphere shifted. Colors bled into reality, the edges of the painting peeling away, revealing an unfolding scene, like a movie escaped from its frame. Mary felt her heart race. This wasn't just about Sean anymore. It was about them both, and the chilling past that loomed over their lives as the ground trembled beneath her. A figure emerged from the dark, an unexpected face that sent shockwaves through her mind, forcing her to confront a revelation that shattered her clarity. "Who are you?" she gasped, poised on the edge of understanding, teetering dangerously between disbelief and acceptance. The truth loomed closer, inviting her into its depths, but would she emerge unscathed from the darkness waiting to consume them both? The ground shook beneath Mary's feet. The painted scene rippled like water disturbed by a stone, pulling her deeper into its chaotic narrative. She felt as though she were swimming against a current, gasping for breath in a world that spun around her. "Mary, snap out of it." Sean's panicked voice broke through the haze, his body thrashing against the shadowy tendrils that clutched at him. The shadows writhed, each twist and turn encapsulating him in a vice of terror. Mary's heart raced. "I'm trying," she yelled back, but her eyes remained glued to the emerging figure, someone familiar yet foreign, as if she were staring into a fractured mirror. "Do you see me?" the figure asked, voice velvety smooth but edged with a razor's bite. Her features came into focus, sharp cheekbones, dark hair cascading around her shoulders like ink pooled on pale skin. "You must understand." "Understand what?" Mary's throat felt tight, disbelief battling with a grim sense of responsibility. "Who are you?" "I was the one before you," the figure replied, her eyes drilling into Mary's soul. "The one who loved and lost. The one whose fate is intertwined with yours." The words punched Mary right in the gut. A ghost of a past she had never experienced but now felt bound to. "What do you want?" "To warn you," the specter pointed again at the painting, and Mary felt a sudden rush of memories collide within her. A violent wave that nearly knocked her off her feet. Something about the colors, the strokes, they weren't just art, they were a portal. Sean's cry brought her back. "Mary!" His voice was raw, desperate. The darkness tightened its grip, pulling him further away. "Let him go," Mary commanded, fierce and unyielding. She lunged towards Sean, reaching out through the veil of shadows. "I won't let you take him. This is your choice." The ghostly woman screamed, her voice becoming a tempest. She shrieked and the shadows flared, tightening around Sean like a noose, bringing him closer to the churning darkness. Mary felt the ghost's pain seep into her, a heavy weight in her chest. With renewed clarity, she turned to the painting once more. "Please show me." She focused on the scene within, willing it to reveal its secrets. The images twisted and shifted, becoming a tempest of color and sound. Suddenly, a flicker caught her eye, a flicker of a man's face amidst the chaos. He smiled, then vanished, leaving behind an echo of laughter that haunted the silence. "Who was that?" Mary gasped, confusion spiraling through her. She felt a deep connection and a sense of loss that clawed at her heart. "The truth knits together lives across time," the figure warned. "You're tied to those before you, and history repeats itself unless you break the cycle." Mary was jolted, a surge of realization washing over her as she recalled stories Sean's family told. Whispers of a curse that hung over them like a dark cloud. The fortune, it wasn't just money, was it? Sean grunted, pushing against the shadows' tightening hold. "Mary, we need to go now." But they were at a crossroads. Understanding raced through her, and she locked eyes with the ghost. "What do you want me to do?" "Make the choice," the spirit whispered, a shimmering sadness in her voice. "Face the truth or lose everything." Just then the ground shook more violently, and the world around them began to flake away like peeling paint. The walls of the attic groaned as the weight of the past pressed down on them. Mary screamed as the darkness around Sean surged, ready to pull him under. "I won't lose you." In that heartbeat, everything blurred into chaos. Images spun around her faster and faster, and she felt the pull of the unknown. Could she really save them both from this nightmare? As she reached forward, a flash of light engulfed her, a tunnel of brilliance swallowing her whole. And then silence. The painting faded into stillness, and Mary grasped her heart, breathless and trembling. Had she made the right choice? In the stillness, she could barely hear a whisper lingering in the air, a revelation waiting to unfold. "Mary, are you ready to face your past?" She clenched her fists, resolute. The truth was beckoning, and she was not turning back. Would it lead her to salvation or doom? Mary's breath came in ragged gasps as the silence enveloped her, chilling to the bone. Where moments ago shadows had danced with menacing glee around Sean, now there was nothing but a thick, oppressive stillness. She searched for him, desperate to see if he was okay, but her heart sank into deeper despair at the remnants of chaos swirling around her. What had happened? Had she saved him or lost him forever? "Sean!" she cried, voice echoing against the cold walls. The attic felt so much larger now, a cavernous space where bad dreams could hide, undisturbed. With quaking fingers, she brushed the surfaces of dust-covered furniture, each touch filled with dread. The ghostly woman's words still echoed in her mind, laced with urgency and sorrow. Break the cycle. Her cycle. Where are you? No answer came. The air hung thick with dread, heavy as lead. But then a flicker of movement caught her eye, a pulse of warmth amid the chill. A glimmer from the painting. She turned and her heart stumbled. A new scene had emerged. The brushstrokes shifted, revealing a mournful landscape. A graveyard with crows swirling overhead, shadows stretching like icy fingers across headstones. And then she saw him, a fleeting image of Sean, standing alone in the center, looking lost and adrift. Sean! Mary lunged forward, desperate to protect him, but her hands hit against a wall of invisible force. An electric surge coursed through her body, jolting her back. It hurt like hitting rock bottom, and she let out a strangled cry. Why can't I reach him? Because he doesn't belong to this realm anymore. The figure's voice, though smooth, had taken on a haunting tone, wrapping Mary in dread. No, Mary cried. He is alive. You can't take him from me. I won't let you. Your heart is pure, the ghostly woman murmured, a wispy smile curling at the corners of her lips. But love alone will not save him. You must unlock the truth contained within the painting. Unlock? The word felt heavy with anticipation, but a surge of determination opened Mary's chest. She couldn't give up, not now. She scanned the painting again, searching for hidden details that might reveal its secrets. As she squinted closer, the scene morphed into something more. She saw names etched into the gravestones, but not just any names. Her family's. The dates rang like bells in her mind, echoing connections she never knew existed. Did the curse bind them all? Suddenly the attic lit up, shadows retreating to the far corners, replaced by a swirling glow. The colors from the painting became alive, illuminating paths that tethered generations. A heartbeat thrummed. Time is fleeting, Mary. Choose swiftly. The terror gripping her heart twisted into resolve. I choose to break the cycle. I will face the truth. As she shouted, memories washed over her, fierce and protective. She stepped closer to the painting's glowing edges, and images exploded, moments she had forgotten, laughter and love interwoven with unspoken sorrows. In a whirlwind of emotion, Mary felt the connection to the past pulsing through her veins, a love story that was as much hers as it was the woman's in the painting. But suddenly, everything crashed to darkness, and panic clawed in her throat. Sean! She whispered, dread pooling deep within her. With every heartbeat, uncertainty flourished, and she realized something vital: they were in this together. She had to walk the path illuminated by that truth, even if it tore at the seams of her heart. A hand reached out from the darkness. Mary, come find me. It was Sean's voice. Her pulse raced. I'm coming. Determination ignited in her chest, and she lunged toward the darkness, ready to breach the unknown that awaited her. What awaited her on the other side? Would she reclaim Sean or face the shadows that sought to claim them both? Mary's heart raced as she plunged into the darkness, each step fueled by hope and desperation. The shadows wrapped around her like a shroud, cold and unnerving, but she pressed on, willing to defy whatever awaited her beyond. Sean! She called again, voice shaking as the echo faded into the void, swallowed by the night. Was he out there waiting for her? Or was this all a cruel trick, crafted by the specter that had ensnared them both? Then she spotted it, a faint glimmer of light off in the distance. It pulsed rhythmically, a beacon amidst chaos. Without thinking, she sprinted toward it, desperation propelling her. With every step, the darkness pulled at her, almost trying to drag her back. But she wouldn't give in. She couldn't lose him. As she neared the light, reality shifted. The darkness melted away to reveal an expansive field under a sky tinged with sunset, hues of vibrant canvas, starkly contrasting the oppressive atmosphere just moments before. And there, beneath a sprawling oak tree, stood Sean. He seemed unfazed, gazing out into the horizon as if waiting for something just out of reach. Mary! His voice cut through the air, warm and reassuring, jolting her with a swell of relief. Sean! Tears filled her eyes as she ran to him, but as she reached out, he began to fade, like mist evaporating in sunlight. No, don't you leave me. Find the truth, he urged, his figure flickering like a faulty light bulb. You have to break the cycle. Tell me how. She cried, lunging for him, but her hands met only cool air. The world around her surged with confusion, shadows weaving in and out of her vision, taunting her retreating hope. Then came a stir, a whisper of movement behind her. She turned, and there stood the ghostly woman, her ethereal form luminous against the deepening twilight. "You've touched the tip of the truth, dear Mary. But to save him you must dive deeper." "What do you mean?" Mary gasped, her heart pounding. She couldn't stand to lose him again. Not when they were so close. "The names you saw in the graveyard are not just fragmented memories," the woman explained, her voice melodic yet laced with sorrow. "They are threads of a tapestry, binding heartbreak and unresolved legacies. Your family has borne this curse through centuries. Only you can choose to unravel it." Tears brimmed again, but anger rose too. "You want me to play savior? I can't bear this. I can't save us both." "Then perhaps you've already lost one of you," the woman replied, an unsettling smile upon her lips. "Enough," Mary shouted, frustration cascading over her like a tidal wave. "I won't let fear dictate my fate. I love him. What do I have to do?" "The painting." Mary the woman gestured toward a vast mural woven into the fabric of the world around them. The colors danced, spinning tales of a family cursed by choices made long ago, a cycle of pain. With steady breaths, Mary approached, pulled by the stories begging for a voice. Each name glowed softly, drawing her in, igniting the urgency in her chest. "What am I supposed to do?" The figures within began to swirl, revealing scenes of joy and heartbreak. A family gathered, laughing and loving until shadows crept into their midst, twisting the bonds they cherished into chains of misery. Their stories begged to be set free. Suddenly, a thunderous crack shattered the tranquility. The ground trembled beneath her feet, and the sky darkened. The painting bubbled with ominous energy. "You must remember. Choose your path, or the shadows will claim you both," the woman warned urgently. Mary staggered back, lump in her throat, heart racing. Memories flooded her mind, the happiness she recalled, the heartache hidden beneath it all. "Sean!" she gasped, knowing the weight of her decisions lay heavily upon her. The shadows loomed closer, hungry for their chance to ensnare them once again. Would she have the courage to confront the legacy of pain? To confront her family's shadows and save Sean? A rush of wind whipped through the scene, dragging her thoughts into darkness. The choice was no longer just about love. It was about survival. Would she step up, ready to reshape the past, or would she crumble under the weight of fear? With darkness creeping ever closer, the answer would reveal itself soon. Mary's breath quickened, the shadows narrowing around her until they felt like a living entity. The swirling darkness seemed intent on pulling her back into its suffocating embrace, but the image of Sean flickered defiantly in her mind. "Choose," the voice of the ghostly woman echoed in her ears. "Or lose him forever." The urgency surged through Mary. Taking a step forward, she centered her focus on the mural. The colors pulsed like a heartbeat, every image demanding her attention, each story clamoring for resolution. Mary reached out, fingers brushing against the painted surface. Warmth flooded her skin. The moment felt electric, and she could almost hear the tangled voices of her ancestors. "What do I do?" she whispered, desperate. Once, the vibrant scene surged forth, a cacophony of life intertwined with suffering. She saw her ancestors' strong, weary faces etched with hope and regret. Their lives had been buoyed by joy and crushed by unceasing heartbreak. Each cycle mirrored her own, revealing a lineage forever tethered to this haunting loop. But there was something different now, a glimmer of clarity within the chaos. A single thread shimmered brighter than the rest, leading to a hidden corner within the mural where a solemn face stared back at her. It was a woman with tear-stained cheeks. Mary recognized her. It was her great-grandmother, the source of the curse. Questions poured into her mind. What had she done? What chains had she forged? The ground shook violently beneath her, and the laughter from the mural transformed into a wailing mourn. Shadows surged forward, stretching their dark tendrils toward her, racing to reclaim what they believed was theirs. "Make the choice," the woman shouted again, her voice rising above the chaos. The swirling colors dimmed, yet the face of her great-grandmother glowed with urgency, asking for forgiveness. "You hold the power, Mary." Fear clawed at her heart as she fought to stay grounded. The shadows were relentless, tugging at her resolve. She could chase Sean wherever he had gone, but he would remain lost unless she broke the cycle. "I can't do this alone," she cried, clutching her head, feeling the weight of generations on her shoulders. Find the truth. Her great-grandmother's voice broke through the roar of thunder, a plea that pierced Mary's fear. Suddenly, clarity washed over her like refreshing rain. The forgotten tales of sacrifice and redemption filled her thoughts with fierce determination. The mural glowed fiercely, an invitation to dive deeper. You have to forgive, the woman urged. Forgive the pain your family has caused. Only then can you find peace for you and Sean. With all her strength, Mary closed her eyes, picturing each of her ancestors, each face infused with love and sorrow. I forgive you, she whispered. Forgive you all. For the pain. For the loss. A violent gust of wind surged through the field as light exploded from the mural, illuminating every shadow, every corner of the dark. The figures erupted in joyous laughter, their pain beginning to lift. Mary felt the warmth flood through her heart, as if golden threads were wrapping around her, binding her past to her present in healing embrace. But as the shadows receded, darkness still lay hidden beneath the surface. A flicker of doubt lingered. Victory felt too distant, the threat of loss too close. Then through the fading chaos, a chilling thought flashed across her mind. What if unseen forces had other plans for her? What if the choices she made only led to deeper hurts? As the glowing threads of light guided her forward, fear gripped her again. Sean! She yelled, desperate for his return. What if she had just unleashed something far more sinister? The shadows still lurked, watching and waiting for the moment she'd let her guard down. And with her heart in her throat, she realized this was not over yet. What was waiting in the depths of her family's past? Would she uncover the darkness now that she attempted to mend the light? The air thickened, charged with tension as the mural pulsated, a canvas teetering on the edge of revelations and horrors. Mary took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. She felt the golden thread still wrapping around her, a feeble shield against the malevolent shadows that lurked just beyond her vision. Sean! She called again, desperation clawing at her throat. The echo of her plea hung in the air, swallowed by the oppressive silence that followed. She needed to stay focused. Determination surged within her. If forgiveness was the gateway to breaking the cycle, then she had to delve deeper into her family's story. Then, as if the darkness could sense her resolve, it surged forward like a tidal wave, shadowy hands grasping at her ankles, threatening to drag her back. Mary staggered but kept her ground. You won't take me, she shouted, pushing against the pull. Her voice trembled, but the defiance burned brightly in her chest. Her great-grandmother's face glimmered in her mind, the pain etching deeper lines in the familiar features. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting, Mary whispered to her ancestor's memory. It's realizing the love that still exists despite the scars. The thoughts blossomed like wildflowers in her mind, and the mural seemed to resonate with her revelation. Each beat of her heart sent ripples through the painted surface, urging her forward. Mary stepped back, her gaze shifting across the mural's vibrant scenes once more. She needed a key, a piece of information that would unravel the tangled web of their lives. She concentrated, searching each image for hints, trying to fathom the hidden truths that lay beneath the surface. Suddenly, a small, almost overlooked section caught her eye. It portrayed a gathering, her ancestors dancing under a moonlit sky, laughter spilling from their lips like music. Yet, something in the gathered faces felt amiss. Their smiles faltered as shadows flitted around the edges of the festivities. Dark tendrils creeping in, she squinted. One woman stood slightly apart, her eyes clouded with sorrow, and at her feet lay a small, intricately wrapped parcel. Mary's heart raced. Look closer. The voice insisted. With trembling hands she reached out, drawn in by the gravity of that hidden moment. As her fingers brushed the mural again, the image rippled and pulled her in. The world around her dissolved, replaced with swirling colors and echoing whispers. Find the truth, the woman's voice beckoned, now both firm and soft, intertwined with urgency. The world spun, and Mary felt herself shifted through the mists of time. The noise of the past rising like a storm. Suddenly, she landed on solid ground, but it was not the field anymore. She stood in a dimly lit living room, the air heavy with must and hidden sorrows. Portraits adorned the walls, but what held her were the sounds, cries of distress, a heart-wrenching wail. She turned, drawn to a scene. A woman hunched over a small child, cradling something in her arms. The child was familiar. Familiar in a way that caused her stomach to churn. It looked just like Sean. Mary's heart raced with panic. Why was Sean part of this? What had connected him to this moment? The realization struck: could the curse extend beyond her family? As the wailing intensified, Mary stepped forward, desperate to understand. Just as she was about to call out, the room fell silent, and all eyes turned to her with accusing stares. "What have you done?" one of the figures said, her voice laced with anguish. The shadows, now swirling around her, surged forward, intent on answering that question with chaos. Her pulse quickened, fear surging through her veins like ice. She understood the truth might bring hope, but it also bore consequences. What truths awaited her? Would discovering the family's past save Sean, or lead them both into darkness? The answers teased her from just out of reach, beckoning her into the depths of her family's legacy. Mary stood in the dim room, heart hammering, every nerve on high alert. The ancestors surrounding her were ethereal, their eyes filled with judgment and sorrow. She felt their weight, felt the burden of countless mistakes stretching across generations. "What have you done?" They echoed the same question, a chorus of grief mixing with the shadows that loomed around her. "Nothing yet, but I will," she exclaimed. With a fierce determination, Mary stepped closer to the shadowed group. "I can fix this. I can end the pain." A murmur rose among them, a ripple of disbelief. She felt the walls closing in, not just from the shifting shadows but from the gravity of their collective history, thick and full of unspoken regrets. "I have to find the truth," she said, her voice steady though her heart was screaming. "What happened to you? How do I break this cycle?" Suddenly, a flicker caught her eye, a glimmer from the child in the woman's arms. He looked just like Sean, and recognition locked her in place. "Sean," she gasped, fighting to hold back the flood of panic. "What happened to him?" The woman's anguished eyes pierced through Mary, cutting through the uncertainty that gripped her. "You know nothing of the choices we made," the apparition said, her voice cracked and shivering. "But you, Mary, you hold the power to reverse our fates." The shadows seeped around Mary's feet, tugging insistently, whispering threats of despair. She felt cold tendrils wrap against her, trying to tug her into darkness. But across the room the child reached out for her, tiny fingers stretching, desperate for connection. "Help me," he cried, the voice echoing with the innocence of 1,000 lost dreams. Mary's heart raced. "I will save you," she cried, refusing to succumb to fear. She remembered the threads of forgiveness, the golden warmth of acceptance. She had to embrace the truth, not just for herself, but for the broken spirits watching her. "I forgive you all," she shouted, hoping to break the lingering dark within their hearts. "I forgive the pain and the legacy trapped in sorrow." As her words broke through the air, the room flickered, shadows retreating slightly. The figures exchanged glances, hope threading through their despair. "Forgiveness is your key," the voice of the woman's spirit lifted as her eyes shone with light, forcing the shadows to waver. "But you must also face our truth." Desperation gripped Mary. "What truth? Tell me." The energies around her surged and morphed, revealing glimpses of past horrors, the choices her ancestors made that led to heartbreak. She saw betrayal, sacrifices made in vain, and love twisted by greed. With each revelation, the warmth of forgiveness propelled her forward. "I'll choose love," Mary shouted, heart pounding. "I'll choose to break the cycle." At that moment, the child melted into the fabric of the shadows. Out of the darkness rose another figure, Sean. His tired, pleading eyes met hers. Relief coursed through her. "I'm here," he called, reaching out toward her, his voice echoing the vulnerability she'd almost lost. The energy in the room shifted, shadows flickering wildly before they gathered into a singular form, the spectral woman, now shimmering with a new light of understanding. "You made the choice," she affirmed. "Now you must act on it. Choose the past or choose the future." Mary felt the weight of destiny upon her. She turned to the mural behind her and opened herself to its glow, each color igniting an electric connection with every ancestor's emotion. "I choose the future. I choose love," she cried with conviction. Light erupted from the mural, engulfing them all, shadows and spirits alike, as energy fused around love's strength. Suddenly, time cracked open, unveiling moments of joy interspersed with sorrow, a delicate dance of choices made with love at their core. She saw it all clearly. She was woven into that tapestry, a necessary thread in their narrative. "You were never alone." Mary's voice echoed, a declaration to the darkness that plagued their family. From now on we rewrite our story together. As if her words were a spell, the shadows flared and shimmered, erasing the pain and transforming it into warmth. She felt the spirits embrace her, wrapping her in love. Sean stood beside her, reaching out to join hands. "Mary, we did it," he whispered, wonder filling his voice as he grasped her hand tightly. But the mural pulsed one last time, the vibrant colors a reminder of their power. "You have the strength to continue this path," the ghostly woman revealed, shimmering with realization. "Share this love and break the cycle for your children and theirs." In that moment everything melted away, the pain, the shadows, the judgment. Mary felt her spirit lifted into light, and she turned to Sean, their eyes locking with mutual understanding. Their future was unwritten, stretching wide and brilliant like the sky over the horizon. The attic transformed in a burst of warmth, shards of light illuminating it brilliantly as the past finally found its peace. Together they stepped forward, the door opening to a future rich with healing and truth. "Let us go home," Mary smiled through her tears, grasping Sean's hand tightly. They walked into the light together, the painting left behind a symbol of a love that had overcome darkness, forever etched in time. And with every step, they knew they carried with them a legacy not of sorrow but of hope, love, and an endless tapestry woven across time. So remember, if you loved this story and want to hear more, you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep our community growing. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Let your voice be heard. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your actions matter and make all the difference in keeping these stories alive.